I always knew something was wrong, a quiet alarm in my gut that refused to shut off. My wife, Isabel, once looked at me like I was her whole world. But over time, that warmth turned to ice. Late nights without explanation, sharp words, and a distant gaze told me everything I refused to accept. I blamed stress, bad luck, anything but the truth. Losing my job at the finance firm shattered me, not just financially, but as a man. I wanted to believe our 7-year marriage could survive. But I was blind. The infertility struggles, the whispered blame from her family, everything piled up. I carried the weight, thinking I had to, but she had already checked out. On my birthday, I dared to hope. She had planned a dinner at her favorite French restaurant, and I let myself believe it meant something. Maybe we could fix this. Maybe she still cared. I arrived, heart pounding, only to find an empty table with a single white envelope. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a signed divorce agreement and a note. Happy birthday, infertile and jobless trash. Just leave. I stared at the words, my mind blank. 7 years, gone. Not with a conversation, but with cruelty. Waiter appeared asking if I was ready to order. I looked at the divorce papers, then at the table. I could have stormed out, but something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to let her break me. I ate. Every bite of the meal she had pre-ordered, every forkful of what was supposed to be our last supper. She thought she had won, but she had no idea what I was capable of. The next morning, I woke up on the couch in our luxury apartment, the one I had worked to afford. My key no longer fit the front door. She had changed the locks overnight. A text from the building manager confirmed it. Your wife said you're moving out today. Need help with boxes? She had erased me. Or so she thought. What she didn't know was that 6 months ago, I had started a tech startup with my college friend, Marcus. Last week, we closed a $10 million investment deal. I had planned to surprise her to show her I was rebuilding. But now? Now I was grateful I never told her. She left me believing I was a failure, but I was about to rise higher than she ever imagined. And the biggest irony? The man she had been cheating with, Daniel Carter, the slick real estate hotshot, was one of the investors in my startup. He had no idea I was behind the company he had just poured his money into. She thought she had burned me to the ground. Instead, she had set fire to her own future. Because I wasn't just moving on, I was moving up, and she would live to regret. The day she underestimated me. Sitting in Marcus's spare room, my duffel bag still unpacked, I almost laughed at the irony. Isabel had spent years letting everyone believe I was the reason we couldn't have kids. Her family whispered it, she smirked. Now, the truth burned in my pocket. It was her, not me, and Daniel. The man she left me for, he wanted a legacy. She had no idea she was holding a ticking bomb, but revenge wasn't my style. I didn't need to expose her. The truth would do it for me. I leaned back on the couch, feeling a strange calm. While she played house with Daniel, I was busy building something real. Marcus and I had launched our startup, and the numbers were soaring. The best part? Daniel's money was in it, fueling my future while she clung to his arm oblivious. Months passed. The divorce papers were long signed. I stood on a stage announcing our company's latest success, investors cheering. Meanwhile, Isabel was still draped in luxury, unaware that her perfect life was built on quicksand. Then, one night my phone rang. An unknown number, I answered. We need to talk. Her voice was shaky. I let the silence stretch before hanging up. I didn't need her explanations, her regret. She had made her choice. Time kept moving. I thrived while she fell apart. And when I finally heard the full story, Daniel had thrown. Her out, her money gone, her friends vanishing. I felt nothing. At a charity gala, I met Sophia. No pretense, no games. She was smart, real. We talked, exchanged numbers. Slowly, something new took shape. No rush, no forced expectations, just real, effortless connection. Looking back, I realized the best revenge wasn't proving Isabel wrong. It was never needing to. Isabel faded behind me, but I never looked back. She could have called out, could have followed, but she didn't. Maybe she knew. It was over. The street was quiet except for Sophie's steady breaths beside me. Leaving, with someone who truly cared, felt different. I wasn't shackled to Isabel's whims anymore. A year later, my life was unrecognizable, in the best way. The startup was thriving. My penthouse felt like home, and Isabel was just a distant whisper in conversations I barely listened to. She had burned too many bridges, chasing a glitter that had long turned to dust. It didn't matter. My world moved forward without her. Sophia was the heart of that world. Our love was real, steady, effortless. No pretense, no games, just late-night talks, terrible home-cooked meals, and laughter that made everything feel right. When I proposed, it wasn't grand, just us, takeout, and a bad movie. Her yes was all that mattered. Our wedding was small, intimate, filled with love. As I kissed my wife, I felt at peace. Isabel's ghost had no place here. Life after. Marriage was simple, happy. Mornings with coffee, nights filled with quiet joy. Work kept us busy, but we always found time for each other. She didn't care about status. She cared about me, the guy who still got pizza sauce on his shirt. Love with Sophia healed me in ways I never expected. Then one morning, an email. Subject line, "I'm sorry, Isabel." Her name on my screen felt like a crack in the life I'd built. I stared at it, my coffee turning cold. What did she want? Forgiveness? A lifeline? The Isabel I knew never apologized. She manipulated, she charmed. But the broken woman in rumors, the one scraping by, wasn't her anymore. Maybe she had truly hit bottom. I didn't need to read it. I had no space for her in my present. My finger hovered, then pressed delete. Gone, like she'd never been. There, relief washed over me. That evening I came home to Sophia's smile. "Ready to test your spice tolerance?" she teased, tossing me a takeout menu. I grinned, pulling her close. "Only if you save me." We laughed, ate straight from the cartons, talked about nothing and everything. It was perfect. Later, as she slept beside me, I thought about that email one last time. I didn't regret deleting it. Isabel had made her choices, and I had made mine. I turned over, wrapping my arms around Sophia, knowing I was exactly where I was meant to be.